good. We made it to week 5. And I want to start today by inviting you to stop for a second. Whether you're driving, doing the dishes, going on a walk, just pause. Because today isn't about a new concept. There is no framework, no system to introduce. Today, we look at what you actually built this month. And we're going to get honest about what it's going to take for you to keep it. This is going to be a one-on-one session, just you and I. I'm going to be drinking my coffee, and I invite you to bring whatever you want to drink. But let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of the Leading Yourself podcast. This is week 5 of Protect the Work, our March series on building the systems and boundaries that protect what matters most. And today is our integration session, which means it has 2 parts. Part 1, it's a coaching session, just you and me and our coffees or whatever you're drinking today. And part 2 is a Q&A where I'm going to be answer all the amazing questions that you all have been sending in throughout the month. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves, those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. Okay, let's start the way I start every coaching session. Here's something you've all experienced. You have that flash of insight, that aha moment. You decide, this is it. This is the thing that I am going to change. And then what? That's the real question, right? Getting the insight is the easy part. Making it stick, that's the whole game. So before we do anything else today, I want you to actually answer something. Not in your head on your way to somewhere else, right here. And the question is, what did this month give you that you didn't have before? Hold on to whatever came up. Because here's what I know about moments of clarity. They're powerful and they're fragile. Life fills back in. The calendar gets full. The requests come back. The guilt gets loud again. Without an anchor, your insight just fades. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build the anchor. Let's talk about the systems first. Week 1 and 2. Be honest with yourself, really honest. And before I ask the question, I'm going to remind you, if you've been doing these integration episodes with me, you know this. If this is your first integration episode that you're listening to, this is how it works. It is a coaching session. It's a one-on-one coaching, you and me. I'm here coaching you through how to integrate all that you've learned this month. And I'm going to be asking you questions, and I'm going to invite you to either pause and answer them in the moment or write them down so you can come back to them later on your journal. But after I ask any question, I'm going to play a little music so it gives you the chance to pause. It's short enough just for you to pause exactly on that moment, because I hate when I want to pause an audiobook or a podcast and I can't do it precisely what I want to. So that's what that music is meant for you to pause and actually do the work. Or take notes so you can do the work later when you have a moment of quiet that you can focus on doing it. But please, please do the work. Because here's what the magic happens, where you create those anchors that we were talking about a minute ago. So be honest with yourself, really honest, and answer this question. What's the one system from this month that actually worked? The one that happened more days that didn't. Got it? Good. Now, notice something about it. It's probably not the most glamorous thing on the list. It's probably something small, something you almost dismiss as too simple to count. That's how systems work. The ones that actually stick are almost always smaller than we thought we needed. Not the perfect version, the version that survived the worst week. Okay, now the harder question, and I don't want you to just stick with the surface answer here. Not, I just got busy. Go a layer deeper. The question is, what's the system you said you were going to build and didn't? And what's the real reason it didn't happen? Because 9 times out of 10, when a system fails, it's not about discipline. It's not about time. It's about the belief that's blocking the path. Maybe you haven't built the weekly career planning ritual because sitting down and asking where you're going forced you to admit you don't fully know. And not knowing feels more dangerous than staying busy. Maybe you haven't protected your mornings because somewhere underneath you still believe your value is tied to being available. And being available, even for an hour, even for yourself, still feels like a risk. Designing the perfect routine on paper? Easy. Anyone can do that. Challenging the belief that tells you to check your email the second you wake up? That's the actual work. The action isn't the obstacle. The belief is. So again, the question was, what's the system you said you were going to build and you didn't? And what's the real reason it didn't happen? So now I want you to ask yourself this. What would I have to believe about myself to make that system not negotiable? Again, the system isn't the hard part. The belief underneath the system is the hard part. So ask yourself, what would I have to believe about myself to make that system not negotiable? Now, let's talk about boundaries. That was week 3 and week 4 of this month. And I want you to be really honest with me on this one. Did you set a boundary this month? Even one, even a small one? If yes, what happened after? Not what you said, what happened after? Because that's where the learning lives. Did the guilt came? It probably did. Did their relationship survive? It probably did also. Did the world end? I'm sure it didn't. And if no, if you got to the end of this month and that boundary you knew you needed is still not set, I'm not here to judge that. But I am here to ask the real question. What are you protecting by not setting it? Because here's what I know. When you avoid a boundary, it's never passive. We are actively protecting something. Maybe it's an image of ourselves as the helpful one. Maybe it's keeping a relationship in its familiar, if dysfunctional place. Maybe it's a fear of what happens if we actually ask for what we need. Those things are real. I am not dismissing them. But look at the trade. By protecting that pattern, you're trading your energy, your resentment-free days, your capacity to show up fully for the people and the work that actually deserves your best. Is that still a deal you're willing to make? Last questions. What would it cost you to keep not setting that boundary for another month or another year? And what are you protecting by not setting it? And is what you're trading worth what you're keeping? Okay, here's what I want you to do before we move on. Systems and boundaries. We've been talking about them like they're two separate problems. They're not. They are two sides of the very same decision. Think about it this way. Your system, like that weekly planning time, that protecting morning, that career ritual, creates something valuable. It builds something that matters. Your boundary is the fence you build around it. It's how you defend what you built. Because here's the thing. You can design the most brilliant, most life-changing system in the world. But if you don't protect it, it's useless. It's like planting a garden and leaving the gate wide open. They have to work together, or neither of them will fully work. You cannot build a morning routine and then let anyone book over it. You cannot commit to deep work time and then let every urgent thing crowd it out. You cannot protect your energy and then say yes to everything that anyone or everyone asks for you. It all comes down to one thing, one decision. The decision to stop letting life happen to you and start intentionally designing the life you actually want. So here's your question. What is one thing, system or boundary, that would create the biggest ripple effect if you actually committed to it this month? Not this year, this month. What's the one? That is your April assignment. Not a list, not a plan, that one thing. Because what's coming next is going to ask you to trust yourself. And here's the thing about trust. It's not built on grand gestures. It's not built on motivation. It's built on one kept promise at a time. Proof gather slowly that you are the kind of person who does what she says she's going to do. So start with one. Make that promise, keep it. That's how this works. Trust is built one kept commitment at a time. So let's start with this one boundary or one system that you just thought about. Stick with it. And then we'll build from there. Okay, let's go and shift gears. And let's now get to your questions. I asked for them throughout the month, and you showed up as you always do. I picked 4 questions, one from each week of the series. I'm going to read each one the way it came in and then answer it the same way I just coach you. Honestly, directly, like we're still in the same room enjoying our cup of coffee. So here we go. Question number 1 from Melissa. Hey, Melissa, thank you for listening. And it says, I built a morning routine in January and I was so consistent for 6 weeks. And then one bad week happened. Travel, sick kid, just cows. And I feel completely off. It's been 3 weeks and I still haven't gotten back to it. I feel like I've lost all the progress I made. How do I start again without feeling like I'm starting from zero? Melissa, I want to say 6 weeks of consistency is not gone because one hard week interrupted it. I want you to hear that clearly. Here's what actually happened. You built 6 weeks of a new pattern. That pattern is in you. It doesn't evaporate because life got loud. What you're feeling right now, the sense that you're lost it all, that's the streak talking. And streaks are a terrible measure of progress. The goal was never to streak. The goal was the person you're becoming through that practice. And she didn't disappear when the routine did. So how do you start again? Smaller than you think you need to. Don't try to rebuild the whole thing tomorrow. Find one piece that anchors everything else. The one thing that when you do it, makes the rest of the day feel like yours. And just do that for 3 days. Not the whole routine, the anchor. And then here's what I really want you to notice. You come back. 3 weeks later, you're still thinking about it, still asking how to return. That's not someone who quit. That's someone who knows what matters and hasn't stopped caring about it. That's the person who gets back to it. Start tomorrow, one piece, that's all. And then start building from there. And you'll be surprised how quickly you can build back to your full routine faster than what it feels right now. Again, that the streak breaking doesn't erase the person you became while you kept it. So find the anchor and start there. Okay, question number 2 is from Danny. Hey, Danny. And it says, I've been trying to set a boundary with my mom for years. Every time I try, she either cries or tells me I've been selfish, and I end up apologizing and going back to the old pattern. I love her and I don't want to damage our relationship. What am I doing wrong? Danny, first, you're not doing anything wrong. Please hear that. What you're describing is one of the hardest boundary dynamics there is. Because it's not just a boundary situation. It's a relationship with years of history, genuine love, and a pattern that has been running for a very long time. Changing a pattern that old is not one conversation fix. It's a long, uncomfortable, worth it process. Here's the reframe that I want to offer you. When your mom responds back with tears or with accusation of selfishness, that response is information about her, not evidence that your boundary was wrong. I know that's hard to hold when you're in the middle of it and the guilt is so loud. But discomfort in a relationship is not the same as harm to our relationship. I have also asked, are you over-explaining? Because that's where most of us lose the line. The more we justify, the more negotiation room we create. A warm, clear statement doesn't need a defense. It just needs to be held. And the thing about this relationship that I want you to sit with is this. You are not trying to damage it. You are trying to make it sustainable. Those are completely different things. A relationship where one person disappears into the other person's needs, it's not a healthy relationship. Even when the love is real, especially when the love is real. Keep going. You're not doing it wrong. You're doing something hard. That's the difference. Her reaction to your boundary is information about her. Remember, it is not evidence that your boundary was wrong. Okay, next question. It's coming from Priya. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And it says, I lead a team and I keep absorbing work that should belong to my directs because it feels faster to just do it myself. I know this is a problem, but it also feels like a leadership problem, not just a boundary problem. How do I stop taking work back without dropping the ball? Priya, you're right. It is both. And here's the thing, they both have the same solution. When you absorb, as you said, the work, because it's faster to do it yourself, you're solving a short-term problem while building a long-term problem. The task gets done, but your team doesn't grow. Your capacity doesn't open up. And you stay doing the work that belongs one level below you, which means the strategic work at your level, the work that only you can do, doesn't get your best. That's the real cost. Not just to you, but also to them. Here's the reframe. Taking work back is not being a good leader. I know it feels that way. It feels responsible and capable and like you're holding things together. But what you're actually communicating quietly but consistently every time that you step in is that you don't believe they can handle it. And teams that aren't trusted don't develop. They wait to be rescued. So the next time you feel the pull to take something back, stop and ask one question instead. What would need to be true for this person to handle this themselves? Then create that condition. Maybe it's clarity, maybe it's more context, maybe it's a different timeline. A conversation about what good looks like can go long ways. That is the work of leadership, not doing it for them, building the conditions where they can do it themselves. It will feel slower. It is slower at first. And I know that can be painful because I think you and I are very alike. We want things to get done and get done well and on time. And it can be frustrating when it feels that things are moving slower than you would want them to move. But I promise that 6 months from now, your capacity will look completely different. Every time you step in and take the work back, again, you're communicating that you don't trust them to grow. And that's not leadership. That is rescue. And that is the reframe that I want to offer to you today. And for you to remind yourself every time you're tempted to pick up the work. Okay, last question comes from Simone. And she says, I listened to the Career Systems episode and realized I have 0 of the 5 systems. I'm 28 and I've been so focused on just doing my job well that I completely missed the part about building a career. Is it too late to course correct? Simone, it is not too late. Not even close. You're 28. You have been doing your work well for 3 years? And you just had a moment of honest self-awareness that some people never have at 38, hey, at 48, or even at the end of a career, they look back and they wonder about what you're wondering right now at 28. That is not being behind. That is being awake right now in time to change something. Here's what I want you to hear about the last 3 years or how many years you've been working. Focusing on doing your job well is not wasted time. That credibility, that foundation of delivery, that reputation of showing up and following through, that is the base everything else builds on. You weren't missing the career part. You were building the ground floor. Now you get to build the rest. Where do you start when you have none of the 5 systems? 1, the weekly career planning ritual. 3 minutes, once a week, 4 questions. That's it. Not because it's the most exciting thing on the list. It isn't, really. But because it creates the container for other things. Once you have a practice of regularly asking where you're going and what you need to do to get there, the other 4 systems become obvious. They slot in naturally. 30 days. Just that one. Don't add anything else until it's automatic. And Simone, the fact that you're asking this question at 28 instead of 48 is the whole point. You have time, more than you think. You were not missing the career part. You were building the foundation. Now you get to build the rest. Okay, 5 weeks. I want to name what you actually did this month before we move on, because I think it's easy to just keep going, to not let it land. Every single piece of progress you made this month, every insight you had, that wasn't random. You actively went in and changed something. That's real work and it matters. Maybe you built a system that's running. Maybe you named a boundary for the first time, even if you hadn't said it yet. Maybe it was just the moment you understood that the guilt you feel when you protect yourself is not evidence that you did something wrong. Those are not small things. Those are the kinds of shifts that change how a life goes. And I mean this completely. I am proud of you. Not because you listened to the podcast, but because you took it seriously, because you did the work. If you have made it to this point and you're listening this right now, I am really proud of you, because that means that you have taken this month seriously, no matter how much progress you think you've made. Now, here's what I need you to understand about where we're going next. This month, you build structures, systems that hold your intentions in place, boundaries that protect your energy. And here's what I know from working on this stuff over and over again. The structures are only as strong as the person holding them. Let me repeat that one more time. The structures are only as strong as the person holding them. Because sooner or later, something is going to test what you built. Someone is going to push back on a boundary. A week is going to get hard and the system is going to feel optional. A moment is going to come where you know you should speak up and everything in you wants to stay quiet. And in that moment, the question won't be, do I have a system? Do I have a script? Do I have a boundary? The question will be, do I trust myself enough to use it? That's what April is about. The whole month, confidence. Not the kind that comes from motivational quotes or forcing yourself to think positively. The real kind. The kind that's built. The kind that comes from accumulating evidence, one kept commitment at a time. That you are someone who does what she says she'll do. The kind that makes your boundaries sustainable, that makes your system stick, that lets you walk into a room and speak, not because you're fearless, but because you've learned to move through the fear. March, build the structure. April is going to build the person who can hold it. I cannot wait. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it. Now, as always, I want to invite you again to come and find me on Instagram as Leading Yourself Podcast and tell me what this month gave you. Tell me what you're carrying into April. I will be there and I am here to celebrate you. Thank you so much for an incredible March. I will see you back on April for our new series on confidence. Have an amazing week. Talk to you soon. Okay, my friend, that's all I've got for you today. But before you go, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, if we're not already friends on Instagram, let's get connected. You can find me as Leading Yourself Podcast. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am incredibly grateful that you're in this journey with me. I want to leave you with one last thought. I want to remind you that you're destined for more and that every step that you take brings you closer to becoming that best version of yourself. Embrace each day as a chance to learn, grow, and chase your dreams. The world needs you to shine brightly, so go out and show up fully and authentically. Take care, and I'll see you next time.